Good morning, good afternoon, good... YouTube is not, but we'll get there in a second, I'm sure. Let me just do another quick refresh. We've got people waiting. Why isn't mine live? We'll find out. Anyway, this is the series for you, system administrators and developers, to get insights to the community that is right behind us. I'll be going through various questions of the community, various concepts, things I've learned, and sharing them with you so that you can apply them to your daily rituals at work and finding solutions and being more effective that way, learning more about the platform and what you can have to offer. This is a time for us to interact. Thank you very much. We do this show weekdays on YouTube. Try not to do that too much. Got a little bit of a frog in my throat this morning. We do this show weekdays on YouTube. You can subscribe to the URL there and get notifications when the show goes live. You can also find us over on Twitch. I encourage you, if you find something useful, if you find something helpful, give that like button a click. I am going to be a little neurotic here and find out why this is not working. This is a bit disturbing. Let me go back to the feed. It doesn't say live now, but it does say that we have a live stream. Something's up with YouTube, and I apologize for that. If you're watching live, hopefully it'll get started in just a second. Otherwise, I'm going to have to stop streaming and start this whole thing over, and that wouldn't be any fun. But watch over on Twitch if you like. I'm going to keep going and check with YouTube, occasionally see what happens. If you do have a question, there we go. It's live. You didn't miss much if you just tuned in. It just kicked into gear. Gotta love technology. One-man show. It's me and me versus YouTube. If you do have a question, if you want to give me a shout out in the chat room, I'd love it. I love to find out where people are from around the world. We usually have a morning crew that's joining us every day. Thank you for joining us, whether it's on Twitch or YouTube or wherever you're watching, whenever you're watching, whether it's live or later. Thank you. Thank you very much. And if you have a question about the platform, something that goes in beyond, hey, Chuck, talking to you from Phoenix, Arizona. Hey, if you're talking to me from Phoenix, Arizona, I want to meet up with you and we'll share a cup of something. Got the chamomile tea ready to go this morning. Please go over to the community if you've got a question in depth. Post it there because there are lots and lots of experts there that can help you and give you the information you like. Make sure that you post it in the appropriate space. Let me get that up there for you. Some community tips for you. I am sitting right in front of the screen. Let's not do that. Let's get down here in the corner where I belong. Someone compared me to Clippy the other day. It looks like you're trying to run a business rule. Can I help you? Does anybody remember Clippy? I don't know what the age group of what our demographic is, but yeah, no, I'm not Clippy. I'm here to help you learn, not help you compose an email. So make sure you put this in the right forum so you get the right people. Make sure that you post one question per category. I've seen some before that had 10 questions. Who can tell me about a CMDB? And they go from CMDB, then they go to security, then they go to, and it's all over the place. It makes it very hard to respond to that by any one party, and it makes it hard to close out the conversation. And if it's not closed out, it's not going to be marked correct. It won't get as high search results when people search for it later, even though it may have very good and useful information in there. One question per post. Easier to respond to, easier to keep track of, easier to search for later. Good morning, Prasanth. Good morning, Carolyn. Good to see you. Well, it's my morning. I don't know where it is, and that's why I always start out good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, and whenever you are. So this is the community live stream. Thank you for joining us. Let's keep going. If you are an expert and you've done this before, you know what you can do with that content. You can turn it into blog articles, follow up on the conversations, contribute, be part of that. Good morning, Antonio. Good morning, Mangesh. Good to see everybody out there as we continue to go through developer.servicenow.com. Get yourself a free personal developer instance with London and many of those London features available to you. Look forward to seeing you there. Scripting APIs, learning plans, meetups, all kinds of good information over there at developer.servicenow.com. If you can't find the meetup you're looking for, you might want to consider not ringing that bell. This guy, going over to meetup.com and see what you can find there. Lots of great meetups at the URL you find on the bottom of the screen there. More being added every day. I only update this once a week, so this is as of Sunday. There may have been more added. Good morning, James. Good to see you. Lalit is back. James has having you on 2 screens so I can use the surround sound on TV. All right, we'll go with that. Interesting use of technology. Some might even claim it's an abuse of technology, but that's not me. I abuse technology all the time. Where were we? We were on other events. Go over to the events page. One of note that I like to do, because I like to produce this monthly, is Tech Now episode 56. I will have a registration link for this very shortly. Watch for that. But you can also keep up with previous episodes at the bit.ly link there on the bottom. We also have the Customer Success Center. I encourage you to go over there. Learn what's there. Poke around. Get used to understand what's there in terms of best practices and continuing your ServiceNow journey. A lot of good information that you can find over there. So head over there. I'm going to try this new name that just showed up and wished me good morning. Cotaswararo. Maybe? I apologize how badly I mispronounced your name. Any code, any scripts that I write will be available on GitHub at the URL you see there on the bottom of the screen. I will also post that into the description of this video. And I also cross-post these videos onto the community. So if you're watching the community, this is a video about the community that shows up on the community. And we get a fair number of views over there as well. So appreciate that as well. Just a great way to say, hey, you know, why am I running over to YouTube to find out information about the community? Why isn't it on the community? And the link for the GitHub repo will be in there as well. Raul, good to see you again. Many of you are turning into my daily friends. This is why I get out of bed in the morning. It's a good time. All right, what do you say we get started with the community and see what lies in store for us today? This is completely random, completely unscripted, completely unrehearsed. It's just me and the community and a few of my closest friends. And you closest friends seem to get me unstuck on a number of occasions. I think Steve yesterday said that I did, in fact, name my folder incorrectly. It has been corrected and pushed up to GitHub. So I think I called it the 29th. It was actually the 28th. So I renamed it the 28th before I did the commit and the push up to GitHub. So there you go. Let's take a look at the unreplied questions. This is where I like to start. Something fresh, something easy, something new. Restrict drop-down choices based on assignment group. That, my friend, is an interesting challenge. Let's take a look at that. We have a goal of restricting new drop-down list from the incident form based on what is selected on the assignment group. In my personal instance, I created a field of assignment group detail type equals string. Assignment group detail with a number of choices. I modeled the functionality after the category subcategory list, and I added the set dependent on field to assignment group and the choice dependent value to group name. This failed to offer any values. I tried to change the dependent value to the sys-ID of the group, and that failed as well. The only way I was able to get this to work is by creating an on-change client script that would copy the value of assignment group field to another string field, then change the dependency to that new field, and the drop-down was properly constrained by the assignment. Wow, okay. Well, this is producing the desired results. I'm questioning the efficiency. Is there a way I can get the same results by having a dependent field be assignment group? This is interesting. Let me reread that. Assignment group detail was of type string. I don't think I can view this. Let's copy the image and bring it on into preview and paste that in. Let's see. Oh, no. Stop. Where was I? Preview. There it is. Can I stretch that out? There we go. Make it a little bigger. And hopefully it's got enough resolution to read it. Okay, so he's looking at the choice group. Dependent field is assignment group. This is a bit fuzzy even for me to read, so don't feel bad if it's not looking too good on your screen. And then I see some labels, values, and dependent value, network. So he wants certain choices to show up for certain groups. I have never made a choice field. Well, this is, a choice field is usually dependent on another choice field. A reference field is usually dependent on a reference field. I haven't mixed and matched choice field to string field, for example. But it looks like that's what he's doing. It says, the only way I was able to get this is creating an on-change client script that would copy the value of assignment group field to another string field. But this one up here said, I created a field assignment group detail with a number of choices. Okay, that's the choice field. Okay, that's what was shown in the image. I missed that. So assignment group detail is a choice that's pointing to a reference field. Yeah, I'm going to put my 2 cents in here. I don't know that this is going to work. I haven't mixed dependent field types before and don't know if it is supported. You could try. Let's see, where are we going? I've done choice to choice, like category and subcategory. And I've done reference to reference, assigned to, and assignment group. Because a choice field is effectively a string, copying your value to another string field seems to make sense. What would be another option? You could make a reference. You could try. You could try making your detail field a reference. Could point it to sys choice, but I prefer to use discrete tables, bespoke tables for reference fields, and move the choices to a new table. New table for the bespoke choices. Then try making your detail field dependent on the assignment group field, reference to reference. All right, don't know if that's going to work. Haven't played with it. I suspect it'll work, but we're going to see. James Hammond jumps in here just before me. He says you could use the dependent value in a way that you've set up already, but try using a sysid of the group rather than the name. I think he said that in here. He said, I tried to set the dependent value to the sysid of the group, and that failed as well. So that's how I read it. Maybe you read it a little differently. That's why it helps to have multiple eyes on. Just added something to that. Okay. Maybe they typed the sysid wrong. I don't know. It's an interesting question. There could be a number of variables that we don't understand from this use case. So many people make for quicker solutions. That came out rather clumsily. Alrighty, let's see what's next. I get up early in the morning to do this. Suddenly the Gap band jumped into my head. Gotta get up early in the morning. Okay, I promise I won't sing anymore. ServiceNow fan, very nice to see you again. Thank you for the comments on the Tech Now episode 32. Right? Ooh, hey, if I bump the desk, the camera shakes. Let's not do that again. If the episode 32, regular expressions, saw your comments on. They're very much appreciated. Create Excel file in widget with custom table data. If one automated indicator, that's performance analytics and reporting. My specialty is in custom applications, integrations, and the platform in general. So I may dabble in some of these others about performance analytics and reporting, maybe some ITOM when it comes to discovery or service mapping. I have limited experience there. But I generally tend to stick around the developer community space. It's where I get most of my experience and most of my help that I can provide. Trying to insert an attachment button in a record producer in a multi-step in a wizard. Attachment button. I tend to shy away from these because these are customizations that usually involve jelly code, and jelly code is not going to work on Service Portal. It also means that you have made a customization that you need to upgrade and maintain and test on every release. And at some point, it may not work. And then where do you go? So anytime it comes to requirements like this, it smells like, I'm just generalizing here. Whoa, sorry about that. I put my cup on the keyboard and it went crazy. It feels like they're trying to emulate the functionality of an older system. So it's like we used to have an attachment button on BMC Remedy, so make ServiceNow have an attachment button. Wrong answer. Anytime you're trying to make the new system work like the old system, you're doing yourself a disservice. This is classic business analyst 101. Okay. Look at the requirements. Don't look at the functionality. Analyze the requirements. Find out, are they critical? Are they desired? Some people call these need to have and want to have. What is the impact if you don't have it? There's all kinds of assessment that goes on. If somebody says, we need an attachment button, right? This gets back to the blog article that one of my first ones that I wrote as a ServiceNow employee is, ask why. What do you need it for? Is it driving performance? Is it improving some report? What is the underlying requirement behind you think you need an attachment button because you had one before? That doesn't necessarily mean you need one now. Can they use the paperclip? Offer them options. Okay, say, is this satisfactory? Does this outweigh the cost of those of you who've seen this video before know where I'm going with this. It's a common thread, okay? And I want to make sure that people who are new to the community, new to the platform, new to development in general, understand this. It's very critical, and it's been very helpful to me in my career as I do this. Now, the person on the other side of the table may not like that you're challenging their assumptions that they need an attachment button, but they don't know what options are available. When I was a customer, one of our analysts came up and said, we need to do an approval on this item. Somebody wants elevated access to our systems. They need temporary administrator access, and we need to do an approval on that. I said, okay, that sounds easy enough to implement. And she said, so we want to send out an email that's to the manager that says the approval is requested, and attach that email back to the ticket. And I said, Courtney, no, we're not going through and attaching email, because when the auditors come in August, they always came in August for some reason, they're going to sit down and say, show me the evidence of who approved this. And in the old legacy system, the one we were migrating off of, they had an email attachment as the evidence because that platform didn't support approvals the way that ServiceNow does. It didn't have a related list at the bottom that said, here's the 5 people that were asked, here's the one who approved, here's the date and time. And the auditors would be taking over our conference room for a week. And conference rooms, like most organizations, are at a premium. You're always running out. And when there's a party sitting in there for a week, one of the major big conference rooms, no less, it had an impact on our ability to do our business. We implemented ServiceNow. I explained to her, I said, the email will go out, the manager clicks a link, and then clicks a button. That's it. It's approved. It's recorded. And you'll scroll down the list, and there's your approval. She went, wow, that's so much better. So if you can explain options that are available, you're going to end up with a better result than trying to build a customization that emulates the old system. There's a reason why you got rid of the old system, right? It was inefficient. Our auditors were in and out of there in one day. One day, because I implemented ServiceNow, and it made such a dramatic improvement in our process that we could save money with the auditors, save time, get our conference room back, so there was a morale boost. It was just an overall better solution. So I know this sounds like a ServiceNow guy talking about ServiceNow, but this is from my customer days and how pleased I was at what it makes. Oh, we got some comments going on. Just don't allow your keyboard to take a sip of your tea. No, I have had computer and liquid libations issues in the past, but I'm hanging on to it with both hands when it's down on the table. Thank you for the morning humor. How to add text on a service portal header menu. Okay, again, here's one that may require some context. What are you trying to do? How do I add text to the service portal header menu, but I have used the stock header 1 clone and can still use the clone again? And which configuration method? Okay. LNA, text in what regard? You need to search for the service portal menus, then click the date on the column, directly Good information. A lot of service portal experts out here. Okay, I am going to give you exactly the reply that I just pontificated about. Can you help us understand what the underlying requirement is? It could be, there could be other options like announcements. Could be other options like announcements that may be easier to configure and maintain. Context. Context is king. Hi, Chuck. Have a query in existing ServiceNow SailPoint integration using REST web service. Need to add mid server, for which I have followed up in the steps mentioned in guided setup of mid server. Okay. Mangesh, I'm going to limit the extent of which I'm answering questions in the chat because it's very hard to search later. Somebody with the same question won't be looking through a video to find that. I ask that you please post it to the community. If you have posted it to the community, then give me the sys-ID in the chat room. You can't post a full URL to YouTube. They don't like that. As installing a mid-server account creation, starting and validating mid-server. After that, the existing REST message method. Yeah, I recommend too much detail here, and I won't be able to dig into it as effectively as if it was in the community. Plus, other people searching later, which is what the community is kind of all about, is not just getting an answer, but finding answers to that later. So rule number 1, search for similar issues. Rule number 2, post to the community. Appreciate it. Hi, Chuck. I've updated my comment as we have done this before at another client. Let's hope it comes back to me and can take them through in person. Thank you for the help, James. Really, really appreciate it. Your solution sounds a little bit easier than mine. If you have too many tables, it can get unwieldy. Let's do a quick reply on this. I think I forgot the bell. All right, let's go back to Jelly help with UI macro to add template, name, and ID to incident. Does it have to be in Jelly? Okay. I'm trying to modify some Jelly code to push the template name and ID to the incident form when selected so that we can show who used what template to create the incident. The file attached has the Jelly code. Can anyone help me on how to do this? It's in a UI macro called template context. Would you need to do that in the template? So let's say I'm using a template. What if I put in the template who used it is going to be who created it? You don't need to know that. It's who created it. Or you add a field and say template used by and put in some JavaScript code. What template was used, how you can put that in the template. This has come up before, and I want to look. So let's go to templates. First, let's go to incident. I know I've seen this before, I just can't remember what it is. Let's go to incident table, my favorite table to pick on. Let's go to global, just for simplicity in this case, and I am going to add a new field. To incident, we'll go through form designer, configure, form design. Come on, long menu, having a hard time driving. Form design, very nice thing. Loading, take a drink of tea. And let's create a new field of type reference, because I'm going to reference which template got used. So I will call this template used. I'm just going to call it template used. Actually, it's on a global, so I'm going to probably have to call that u_template used. And reference Sorry. I didn't get the mute button in time again. Template, template, template. Down here. No, that's template import log. Where is my sys template field? Oh no. I can't use sys template. Maybe I can from another place. I'm going to set that there. Maybe Form Designer has an issue. Darn it, I bumped the table again. Set that issue there. Save that. Refresh this so I get my new form. Right under configuration item, I should have template used. And if I configure dictionary, I want to know why I cannot. Let's see, it's a reference to search for name is sys underscore template. Ha 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 ha. Don't always trust one list. Always have a backup plan. There we are. So now template points to sys template. And what I can do is in my 3-dot menu, toggle the template bar, create a new template, and call this one Chuck's Demo. On the incident table, in the short description, Chuck's Demo template. Not very original on naming. It contains a whole bunch of values based on the current record. Let's get rid of most of that. Put in something like short description is Chuck's Demo template was used here. In the template field, this is called a self-referencing template. Now, here's the tricky part. I haven't saved this record yet. So let's save that for a second. And, oh, we also wanted a second field of who did it. So let's do another one. This time I'm going to show you an alternate method, form layout, and right under template used, I will create a new field called template applied by. Okay, and that will be a reference to sys user. User, I think you can do bracket. Yeah, if you do bracket, it will tell you anything that ends with user. Little trick on some of these table choosers that you can do. Add that, go move it to right underneath. Template used by. You know what I was going to try and do that I forgot? I was going to try and save the link over here so that when I post the links used for today, I can actually cross-link from in the community. When I say, here's the topics that were covered, you could click right from the topic to the article that mentioned that topic. So giving you a little more linkability. I forgot in the first couple. I'm going to try and remember that. Give you a little more referenceability, so when you see something on the video, you go, wait, I want to look at that too. You'll be able to go to look at that and maybe even contribute. That would be cool too. All right, where were we? We were making a reference field. We saved that. We get our form back, and now we get template and template applied by. So let's go back to, I love that backslash quote in there. Very nice. I want to edit that template, but it applies it and it says, oh, I modified this and I modified that. Okay, field modified by template, but I'm not done yet. I want to see all templates, edit that one, and I need to put in two things. One is now that I have a reference to my demo, I also want to template applied by JavaScript gs.get user ID. That will get my name. Let's do an update on that. Oh, it didn't like that. It said, you can't do that, it's pink. Oh, look, and now the backslash is gone. How about that? It applies my stuff with my demo, with my name. Pretty slick, okay? I wouldn't do a UI macro on this, okay? I would advise against updating the UI macro. You can, because for two reasons. for two reasons that I can think of now. One, jelly is difficult to write and maintain. Someone is going to want want a mod later if you start doing this now. Two, you could run into issues with upgrades later. Okay. If you want to track the template used and who applied it, you can do this within the template itself. Each template itself. Here's an example. I created a reference field to the template and a reference field to sysuser. In the template, I set some values, then saved, so the template can then, so the template used field can use itself as the value. The value of the applied field, the second field, is simply a one-line JavaScript like this. Let's use the little script editor so it comes out formatted nicely. I want that to default to JavaScript. How many times are you pasting HTML and XML in here? Really? JavaScript gs.getUserID. Done. Make that smaller so I get my OK button. Make it bigger so you can read it again. Paste in the second picture. Cursor, 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 cursor. And second picture looked, not like that. It looked like edit template. There we are. How's that? Was that helpful? Don't do code, kids, if you don't have to. There. Anybody else reply to that yet? Nope. All right. Let's see. ServiceNow fan says, Chuck, is it possible for you to invite guests who are expert in ITOM PA, ITOM to your show one day a week to tackle unanswered questions in those categories? Doug Schultze, Glenn Pinto. Please take my suggestion into consideration, or can you pass it on to whoever can arrange a live stream on those categories, please? Good idea. That's really up to them personally. Many of those people, like me, are not part of the community team. I do this as a labor of love, so it's completely up to them. It also is dependent on the technology. I happened to have a lot of this available for me for my personal hobby, and I said, well, I'm in the community anyway, why don't I just fire up a camera and start talking? And that's sort of where this was born. You enjoy it and find it valuable, so I will continue to do it. Getting a guest on here isn't technically possible. I've got a green screen, it's one camera. That would be a bit of a technical challenge. I'm already technically challenged when it comes to the video streaming stuff. Ideally, yes, I love the idea. I have thought about some way to interact with a colleague to do this, but I haven't really sorted that out in my head. So I don't think they'd get up at 6 a.m. Pacific time anyway. Yeah. Doug, I think, is in Mountain Time, so it'd be 7 a.m., but it might still be a stretch for him. Glenn is West Coast time as well, so it would be a bit early. So I will keep that in mind. I will definitely turn it over, and if some revelation of how we can make that happen comes to light, I will talk to those individuals and employ that. I like the idea of having subject matter experts in fields outside of my own. I think it broadens the information that we can share with you. Thank you. Can you also please invite HR service delivery experts also? Yeah, if I figure out a way to do this, I will look to expand the scope of who joins. We may, if it does work out technically, then we may have to end up shifting the time. And that may even impact, can we do this daily? Again, labor of love, only so much bandwidth to go around. That's why I do this at 6 a.m. because I'm done and this thing is posted by 7:30 a.m. my time. And then I can get on with the rest of my day that they pay me for. Maybe someday I'll work for the community and just do this all the time and get paid for it. Wouldn't that be fun? Then I would dig in. If they're paying me for it, I'd dig in and find those subject matter experts and a technical way to do this. Even if it means ditching the green screen. You may see me, may look more like this, where you hear a disembodied voice talking about it, which wouldn't be the end of the world, but certainly not as interactive and personable as having a talking head on the screen. You are very welcome. Very welcome. I appreciate the accolades, and let's get back to this. Let's have some more fun. Anything in the inbox? Nothing in the inbox. All right. It is 6:36. A couple things that I promised I wanted to show you and tell you. So I've got my notes here. The many-to-many tables. I want to show you many-to-many tables. I've been talking about this for a while, and I've been putting it off. And because this is the last show for about a week, I am taking some personal time and will not have a show Thursday, Friday, Monday, maybe Tuesday. I don't know. It's going to be a long weekend, and I don't know what condition I'll be in on Tuesday morning. Might be harder to render a smile. Maybe I'll have to paste one on. The many-to-many tables are a very useful commodity, very useful capability, I should say, in ServiceNow. And I use them all the time when applying a record to another record. I hope by this point you're all familiar with reference fields. Reference fields, like I just created here, point to a record in another table. And because of that, I could have a related list on that other table of all the records that are using this. Case in point, down here, let's turn that off. Case in point, down here in the related list, for every reference field, I get a free related list somewhere. Okay, if this record uses sysuser as a reference field, I can then go to sysuser and find what records did Chuck apply a template to, or what records are assigned to Chuck. Anytime this is used, I can go to that other record that's being referenced and find out where it's being referenced from. So for example, let's go to my Chuck Tomasi record and open that up. I'm doing a little backtracking just for historical purposes before I get into many-to-many tables. There's my record, and I can add a related list, configure related lists. And simply the act of creating a reference field creates this capability of putting that reference field on here. Now, look how many places sysuser is used. Like every CI table has something. But somewhere down in here, I have template, applied by, SAP, server service, SSS. You know, it might be quicker, just type T. SSTTETEM, template to user. Okay, that is the source table and the target table. Notice there is an arrow here. This says it is a one-to-many relationship. If there were no arrow here, like thresholds, it is a many-to-many relationship. That's how you can tell the difference when you're putting these related lists together. The many-to-manys will have an edit button with them also so that you can match those up. Simplest case, assignment groups and users in those groups. So when you create a group in ServiceNow, I'll finish this first. Let's put template on there. Template to user is a one-to-many, and if I put that on there, I can now see on my sysuser record at the very bottom, wait for it, woohoo! And the effort to do that was create a reference field, add a related list. Very easy to do. I can now backtrack where that reference field is coming from. Okay. The second thing is many-to-many tables. Now, when I look at user administration, users, you've seen this before if you've gone to any sysadmin course or looked online. Here is my Chuck Tomasi record again. And I have groups. Groups are editable, and up comes a list of groups. This is not a reference field. This is a many-to-many table. So if I put Chuck in the hardware group, screen's jumping around. Wait for it to finish loading completely. You think after making so many demos, I can now edit, and there it is. Now, if I click this, can't really see it on the bottom, but it is going to sysusergroup.do. It will take me to that group. And I have a reverse relationship of users in this group. It's the same table. This will take me back to my Chuck Tomasi record. How do I look at that relationship? Well, a many-to-many table is technically nothing more than two reference fields. One that points to the user table and one that points to the group table. And if I click the eye icon, I go into the underlying record. Not the reference to the user, but here it is in all its glory. You can stand and be amazed and go, really, that's it? Yes, that's what it is. It says this user belongs to this group. This table is called sys_user_gr member. And I can find that out easily enough by right-clicking any one of these fields and say show user, and there it is. Table, sys_user_gr member. So if you ever need to find out a table, you can do it that way. You could also do configure table. You could do configure dictionary. There's lots of different ways to find out what is the table name of this record. You can, if you use my little trick again, you go over here and hover on the icon, you can see the URL down on the bottom of the browser. Very small if you're watching on the video, I apologize, but it will say https://instancename.service-now.com/sys_user_gr-member.do. Now, the .do says I'm going to take you to a form, I'm going to run a process, or I'm going to do an action. If it said _list.do, it would be taking me to a list. But because there's no _list, I know it's going to a form. So by clicking that, again, I get the awesomeness, even in the preview, of just two reference fields. So why couldn't I simply make a table with two reference fields? Let's have some fun and try that out. Find out what is the difference between a many-to-many relationship and a field with a table with two references. So let's start with one first. I'm going to go to my CLS application because that is something fun. And I'm going to create this relationship of, let's do a simple survey with questions. And you can put a question on multiple survey, and the survey can have multiple questions. So very quickly, see if I can get this done in the time allotted. Let's first create a simple table for our survey. I know there are surveys built in. Why am I doing this? I'm doing this to show you a many-to-many use case. It creates my table. I'm not going to extend it from anything. I'll create a couple of fields like name. That should be a good display value, so let's turn that on, even though name by default is going to be a display value field because it's NAME. Quick tip, underlying, if your field is called name, NAME, or u_name, you don't have to turn on display equals true on the dictionary entry. If it is number or u_number, same thing applies. I do it to be explicit so that I can see exactly which field is my display value. So again, if that's helpful, it was a nice tip. If you learned something, check the like button. Let's also put in an active field because when I make new tables, you know me, I like to put in a true false so that I can disable things later. Helps when you're building reference qualifiers. Default value will be true so that I can turn these things on and off. And you know what? That's about all I really need for that table. Let's make another new table real quick and create the questions. So here's a question. And we'll put that in there. Not going to extend anything. Question will have maybe what the text is, and that should also be a display value. By getting in the habit of physically picking one of your fields to be a display value, you avoid issues later. The reason, I've explained display values before in reference field. I'm not going to get into that or I'll run out of time for sure. Let's maybe also put in an order. What order should this question be in so that we can sort them? This will be an integer. I don't think I need a default value. What other things do questions have? Well, we'll start with that. Okay, so I have a question and an answer. So my question is, some are good starting points for creating in ServiceNow. I have some experience with HTML and Java. I know I'd like to be joining the ServiceNow community soon. I have experience using dashboard widgets and looking more into Service Portal. Searching the community on that topic is a good point. I would also recommend, if you're getting started, again, go over to developer.servicenow.com, get a free personal developer instance. You can pick from one of the latest 3 releases, London being the latest. Okay, it's actually coming out in a few days for the general public, but it was pre-released on early access July 26th. If you are, sorry, I get sidetracked really easy. This is just part of the show. You can also do Kingston or Jakarta and even practice your upgrades. There are free learning plans there if you want to get started being a developer. Go there. Pick a few learning plans. You can learn everything from getting started writing a script to building an entire application to REST API integrations. Learn all you can. Developer.servicenow.com. And now back to our regularly scheduled program. All right. I have my survey and my question. If I want to make a many-to-many table, could I, in theory, just make another table and call this survey to question? Okay, let's just try that. See what happens. And in here I have a reference field of survey, which points to a reference field, which points to, what did I call it? Survey, but I need to pick the right survey table. Oh, it picked my right survey. It did not pick one of the system tables. Now, subsequently, I will also have a question table. Reference that to my question. There we go. I knew that would happen. CLS question, that's mine. Pick the right table. Just like when you're picking user, you pick sys_user, not imp_user. Submit that. And let me go to my CLS application. Refresh that so it gets the new modules instantiated. I heard a trick that if you double click on this little file cabinet, it will work, but I haven't got that to work consistently. So CLS, which doesn't stand for clear screen. Let's go to my surveys table. We'll make a quick survey. This is called sample 1 with an L. Okay, submit that. Create another one, new sample 2. Submit that. Let's add some questions. The order is out of whack, but that's okay. What is your favorite color? Notice I don't have any answers on here. We're making a survey you can't answer. Question 200 would be, what is the city where you were born? Maybe I can get some of your banking information this way. 300, what is, you have to ask it, your mother's maiden name? Have I written any code yet? I haven't written any code. I don't think there's going to be anything in the GitHub repo today. Okay, so I've got 3 questions and 3 surveys. Now, go to the survey table, and let's see what happens when we try to configure related lists. It shows me survey to question is a one-to-many relationship. Note the arrow. Note that there's no edit button. You say, but Chuck, if I go under configure list control, I can add an edit button. It's not omitted. Let's enable edit. Okay, so theoretically, I now have the ability to do survey questions, and up comes nothing. That's not good. What if I tried it the other way? What if I tried survey questions new? I get a new many-to-many record, but this is not the way we want to edit many-to-many records. I can say, what is the city you were born? This is not how it works. So edit doesn't do us any good. It doesn't show us what the other records are. Oh, well, here's one that's got to create it. Guess who forgot a display value on one of his tables? I can fix that. Question. No, wait, I put that in. I put text is true. Oh, because I'm not referencing the question table. I'm referencing this survey to question table. Okay, there's the problem. It's not as simple as creating a table with 2 reference fields. So how do we get around this? We get around this by using data model, many-to-many definition in Studio, or you can go to the sysm2m table, and what you tell it is 2 things. What is my source table and what is my target table? So I am going to go from the survey table, which make sure I get the right one, to the question table, make sure I get the right one. There it is, CLS question, and it creates a many-to-many table. Now, I watch this table name because sometimes it gets really long and convoluted, and it doesn't, if it's using the labels from those tables, it's messy. So questions survey, this one's pretty good. I can make sense of that. Think about the poor guy or girl probably scripting this later. How many times you're going to have to type this, and where do you want to type it, and are you going to remember the name? Okay, so leave that alone. Next, I look at 2 other things. What is the label for the M2M from field and the to field? I'll show you where this comes in handy, and you've seen it before. I know you have. After that, I just create many-to-many. So I really supplied 2 tables and hit create. Now, what it does over here is creates a many-to-many definition, which is used by the system underneath to do some cool stuff, and my many-to-many table, which has those 2 fields along with, of course, sys created by, sys updated on. So reference to question, reference to survey, away we go. Okay. I don't like the label that it comes up with because that is just really obnoxious. This one's going to be called surveys and questions from the label standpoint, but the only time I really need it is here. So it's a personal preference. If you want to see it that way and it stands out and says, this is a many-to-many table, great, have fun with that. Let's now go back to my survey table, pick this question, and implement it the proper way. Let's take the ugly one off, configure related lists, take that one off. Notice this one just says questions, because it doesn't say survey questions, it doesn't say CLS, M2M survey questions, it doesn't say surveys and questions. It just says questions because that's how it's going to appear. You're looking at 2 sides of the same coin. If I'm on the survey side of the coin, it's going to say questions. If I'm on the question side of the coin, it's going to say surveys. So what might seem confusing at first is not. Where's my related list? Did I configure that? No, I just took one off. I forgot to put this one back on. Save. Now, here's my survey. Here's my list of questions, just like this is an assignment group. This is my list of users. Edit works the same way that you would expect it to. Look, I have the right display values that I defined, and it maintains the many-to-many behind the scenes for me. Okay, there's my question. I can drill through the question and put a related list over here. And just like I said, 2 sides of the same coin. Oh, that's interesting. I did not expect that. That should not have been that way. With the arrow, let's find out what happens. Now it says surveys. That's interesting. It should have just said surveys. I'm going to have to look at something. So it says, yes, this question is used on sample 1. If I look at other surveys and go, here's sample 2, and somehow use the same question, I don't remember which one that was, so let's pick all of them. Grab all questions. Stop jumping around, form. It's got to draw that filter last. That drives me nuts sometimes. Let's take a look at the questions, and I don't remember which was used where, but here's question 100. It's used on 1 and 2. So there you go. Quick lesson in many-to-many tables. Why they're not just a table with 2 reference fields. You could do something similar with two reference fields if you wanted to make your own table. But anytime I start doing this where there's this intermediary table, like sysuser gr member, group members for that, I always try to use a many-to-many table. Now, there's one caveat to these. One caveat that I don't like, but I'm going to show you how to get around it. If you take the table, let's take survey and question, and delete it, it says, just like any other table, type delete. Okay? You go, whew, that's that. Let's say I made a mistake and said, oh, I changed a label or something. You go back into the many-to-many definition, you go, well, I better get rid of that too. It's all read-only. There's no delete button. That's not very fun. So if I made a mistake and I used the wrong from table, let's say I used the wrong question table. I used survey, the one out of the box question table that goes with catalog questions. And I went, oh, wrong table. I have to fix this. These don't delete. Okay? You can't delete them here, but you knew I had an answer for this, right? I can say, copy URL and go to scripts background. Paste that in because it makes for easy typing so that I can copy and paste the table name, sys m2m var m2m equals new glide record, paste, and the sys ID m2m dot get, oops, forgot my quotes, and m2m dot delete record. Okay, you can delete it from here. Now, it's probably going to bark at me because, well, no, that is in the right scope. Deleted one record, delete operation against blah, 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 has been refused due to the table's cross-scope access policy. Okay, that I suspected would happen. Let's try this from the global scope. Copy, paste, just in case. Global, run. Okay. Now, go back to Studio. And no more M2M definition. So when you're deleting them, delete them from the global scope. Phew. Is that all the information I have about many-to-many tables? Yes. Do I have more information for you that I want to share? Yes. Am I going to fit it in today? No. Look at all this other stuff that I want to get. I do want to tell you about notifications at some point. There are many ways you can drive email notifications, but I will not get to those today. I will tell you that I have a new assignment that involves Virtual Agent. And Virtual Agent is a paid-for product that came out in London, but you can try it for free in your personal developer instance running London, and I'm going to build a conversation. It's going to be a very simple one that prompts the user for some information and creates a record. Much like a record producer does for in a catalog, this is going to be Virtual Agent where we can do this through a conversational chat. I need this information because I'm going to be building a demo around it that's due in a couple of weeks. So I'm not going to show you all my bumps and bruises on this video, but I will be practicing and learning and sharing that information back here with you as soon as I can. From the personal developer instance, I go to developer.servicenow.com, go to Manage Instance, I get this screen, and I can turn on plugins, activate plugin. This is something that normally, of course I was signed out because I haven't been doing anything here in a while. Let's redraw that, shall we? And just like that, voila, I'm logged in again. Manage Instance. Gets a little confused. And go to Action, Activate Plugin, and if I search for Virtual Agent, I get the CSM Virtual Agent conversations. These are out-of-box conversations that we provide. We also have Glide Virtual Agent. Don't forget to turn this one on. In fact, I would recommend turning this one on first. This is kind of the core that goes with it. There's the HR conversations, and there's the ITSM. If you activate all four of those, you're going to end up with 18 out-of-the-box conversations that we provide, and I am going to use those as examples to how I can build my own conversation for my custom application that I'm going to use to collect records. That must mean it's 7 o'clock because all my alerts are suddenly sneaking through. My phone just woke up. It came out of Do Not Disturb mode, and it is time to go. So it is with great sadness that I will not see you for the next few days. Carolyn, Rahul, ServiceNow fan, thank you for joining me. I look forward to, let me make this a little bigger since it's the sign-off. I look forward to having a great weekend and returning to you next week with some more information. Maybe we'll talk about those notifications next time. Maybe we'll get into some more stuff as we roam around the community together. And I will talk to you again real soon. Until then, be sure, if you learned something, hit that like button. Bring that down just a bit. Hit the like button, share it, and you will be helpful. Bye now. Let me sign off here. My screen's got a little whacked on that keyboard. Don't need that. Crazy clumsy sign off. Bye.